Thank you all for coming out on this snowy day, and I want to first start with recognizing the hard work of our men and women of our Department of Transportation, who did a phenomenal job, I think, in responding to our snowstorm and ice storm. As you can see, many of you who were able to get here today, that they did a great job clearing the roads. They did a great job when it came to making sure that the information was transmitted. I applaud the school system in allowing for our children and our some of our most vulnerable residents to stay off of the road so we can ensure that everybody remains safe. So wanted to again give my kudos to the county executive and his staff with the Department of Transportation. It did a phenomenal job in that respect. I did want to start off by thanking again all of my colleagues who gave me the I guess you could say leeway, but that instilled their confidence in voting for me as their next council president. It's going to be really important for me to make sure that over this coming year that we do a lot to reach out to neighboring jurisdictions. I've actually already taken a meeting with a few members of the Prince George's County delegation. I'll be meeting with some stakeholders in D.C. To make sure that we're trying to bring this regional effort full circle. You saw the success that we had in being able to work on the minimum wage bill and working together as a regional coalition. And I think that that's something that not only needs to continue but needs to grow. I've had some talks with folks that are representing Frederick County as well as Howard County. We will be meeting. We do have MACo, the Maryland Association of Counties conference that's happening starting this Wednesday through Friday. And I'll be actively meeting with members of all of those different delegations, as well as with our General Assembly delegation about some of the priorities that are at the forefront for us here in Montgomery County. And so with that, I wanted to break into some of the things that you've heard that are priorities for me, and then we can go ahead into questions, because I'm sure that folks are anxious to, kind of delve in a little bit more into these topics. But small business, which is my number one priority, and one that I think that the county can do a much better job in. Look, we've made some great strides when it comes to creating a small business navigator, helping people navigate the myriad of challenges that are faced with small businesses, but there's so much more that we can do. Focusing on our local small businesses, making sure that they're prioritized when it comes to our county's procurement process. Also making sure that when it comes to our small businesses, that we're also giving them the resources necessary to help them to grow. I think that we've done a good job in helping to start them, but once they get to that small business level, helping them to grow to mid-size and even large business is something that our success record is not as triumphant in. And so I certainly want to see us do more. And I've heard from a lot of the stakeholders in the community about the fact that we need to do more in supporting small business. I've actually heard from folks that after my speech have contacted my office. That message has really resonated with them. They are extremely happy to hear that Montgomery County and that the County Council has taken up small business as a number one priority, and they're looking forward to seeing some of the changes that we can make, whether it's through the procurement process or whether it's also through making sure that we provide different kinds of support structures. I also wanted to talk about our agricultural reserve. Many of you know that I represent the Up County. The Farming at Metro's Edge conference was a tremendous culmination of, again, that regional effort, bringing Montgomery and Frederick counties together to come up with ways in which we can promote sustainable agriculture and also promote our agricultural reserve as a true business entity, because that's in effect really what it is. All of these farms are small businesses, and so it's really important for us to make sure that we're supporting them. To that end, I've talked about creating a farming business navigator so that those farmers, it's a very unique niche for them when it comes to navigating some of the processes, because they have to work outside of the normal small business regulations, but also have to adhere to those, as well as some of the regulations in dealing with USDA, with the Department of the Environment. So it's really important for us to make sure that we're kind of hand-holding them through this process so that they can focus on what's most important to them, growing. And so in addition, what I'd also like to see, that you heard me talk about, is a farming magnet program, so we can start growing our next crop of young farmers It's something that the superintendent of schools, Josh Starr, and I have met with. We've met about that particular subject, and he's expressed some support. We're talking about whether it would be in the form of a full-fledged magnet or a pilot program, but I do look to hearing from him at our next meeting about ways in which we can try and roll something out this year. So I'm very excited about that as well. Last but not least, I certainly want to talk about the county budget. Next year, we'll be embarking on a difficult time for us as we're faced with challenges of coming out of a recession. I think that we still face some of the challenges ahead when it comes to making sure that we're fiscally sustainable. Some of those challenges, of course, deal with the continued effects of sequestration as well as the looming budget limits. And so when it comes to the federal government, we've got to make sure that we've got a strong presence in making sure that we're tied directly to what it is that they're doing and knowing how that effect will play out for us in our own future. So it really is one in which I'd like to see us do more, but it's all within reason. Many of our departments have been slashed over these past few years. Departments like our libraries, our parks and recreation, and many of our residents are talking now about how we need to do more. We need to build those departments back up. Health and Human Services, one of the committees that I serve on, I've seen the tremendous impact that it's had on our social workers and the number of clients that they have to handle. And it's really troubling for us as we deal with some of our most vulnerable residents that we're still not back where we need to be. And so I'd certainly like to see us start to rebuild some of those departments and get us back up so that we can be more responsive to those individuals that need our help the most. And so there's a lot that I'd like to try and address over this next upcoming year. My hope is that we will be successful in working not only with us as a council, but with other jurisdictions. These are not problems that are unique to Montgomery County. You know, the challenges that we face are ones that all of our surrounding jurisdictions face as well. And so oftentimes it's better to put our heads together and come up with a more collaborative approach at addressing some of these challenges. And so I look forward to doing that. You know, one of the things that a few of my colleagues have said about me is that I believe in collaboration. I believe in working together. And that's truly important. You know, whether it's working with our Board of Education and our superintendent, or if it's working with our General Assembly members in Annapolis, whether it's working with other jurisdictions, the county executive and his staff, we are all a team. We are all one Montgomery, one Maryland, and together I think we're going to have a great year. So with that, I'll turn it over to any questions that you might have.
Do you have anything in terms of regular meetings set up with the executive or the CAO? Are you going to, I don't know how this usually works with them.
That's actually a great question, Bill. I've actually been having regular meetings with the county executive for quite some time now. In my previous role, I felt that it was important for me in understanding the direction that our county is going in to make sure that we always had a regular open door policy when it came to some of the things that were affecting my jurisdiction as well as the entire county. And so I hope that that will continue. I'm sure that it will. We've got a good relationship, a good working relationship. I respect him and think that he's done a great job in leading us, and I feel as though together we will be able to really get some great things accomplished, both here in the council leading the way when it comes to legislation, and there on the county executive side when it comes to leading in terms of the regulations and the exacting and actually carrying out of what we're trying to accomplish.
You talked a lot about helping small businesses, you mentioned making changes to procurement and providing support structures. Mm-hmm. Could you give a couple examples of specific things you'd like to see change to help small businesses grow?
Absolutely. When it comes to the procurement piece, I'm looking at changing our procurement regulations here in Montgomery County to allow for priority to be given to locally owned Montgomery County businesses. I'm not sure what that exact number might be, what that exact legislation might look like at this point. I'd also like to see us do something when it comes to our small minority and women-owned businesses as well. And we currently have a disparity study that's going underway. And once those results come out, we'll be able to then start putting some legislation forward. But also, in my conversations with the county executive, we're actually looking at a coordinated approach because the county executive is also looking at changing some of the regulations regarding some of the filings, some of the fees that are associated with our small business. So together, we feel as though some of the legislative regulations as well as some of the procurement regulations can really make a difference when it comes to our small businesses. Those are the things that people are citing as some of the tremendous challenges. Just getting those small businesses off the ground from the start are really, really difficult. I was having a conversation with a gentleman who opened up his African grocery and food store up in Clarksburg. And he was telling me about the challenges that he faced in opening up that small store in the historic district in Clarksburg. And so it's really important for us to be responsive and to make some changes that will help us all. You know, as these small businesses grow, our economy grows, we employ people, it's all beneficial.
Craig, you talk about the local businesses getting priority in procurement. Does that mean also would that, in your mind, trump competitive bidding? You know, there are laws that you have regulations that.
Yep. That's a great question. And no, we wouldn't trump that, but there are other jurisdictions that do something similar. Again, until we get the disparity study, I really can't say exactly what that legislation would look like.
Studying what disparities exactly?
The disparity study is studying how our small businesses and our minority give us a better idea of what some legislation might look like. But in reality, Bill, it really boils down to this. You know, I've been talking to businesses over the past 2 years now about some of the challenges that they face, and the majority of them have said that they continuously get beaten out by companies that are outside of Montgomery County. And so that's where I think that we can do a lot of good when it comes to trying to level the playing field a bit to make sure that we're prioritizing some of our locally owned businesses, the ones that we invest in. Why do we invest the money in a small business navigator and setting aside some funds if we're not going to also say that dealing with these businesses as a county is not a priority?
You mentioned more collaboration with the surrounding jurisdictions. Minimum wage was one. Are there any specific topics that you want to collaborate more on?
Not as of yet. There are a number of things, social justice issues that do affect us all that came up as part of a conversation with one of my Prince George's colleagues the other day. So there will be a number of things. At this point, it's very early to say exactly what those are. We're still trying to hone those, and after a few more meetings, I'll probably be able to give you a few more details. Plus, after this next upcoming MACO conference, we'll really start to hone in on what some of those particular issues might be, and we'll certainly release those to you so that everyone, and of course we'll be vetting them with the council as well to make sure that everyone's on board with setting these up as priorities.
It's an election year. Does that, in your opinion and your experience, make it easier to get your agenda moving, or is it harder?
It depends. That actually cuts both ways. Certainly when it comes to tough topics, it is something that certainly proves to be a challenge. But at the same time, I think that the council members here are committed to doing the right thing. And I think that trumps all. You know, although this might be an election year, I do believe that all of the members here feel as though them trying to do the right thing for Montgomery County is what ultimately gets them elected. It's not about playing to any particular kind of group or a particular kind of message. I feel as though if we can make sure that our voters, our constituents understand that we're looking out for their best interests, that we're trying to do what's best by them to make sure that Montgomery County is one of the best places to live, work, and prosper, then they'll vote for you regardless.
More snow tomorrow, apparently. Anything you want to say to people about that?
Well, yeah, certainly. Please be cautious. I had started off the meeting by thanking our men and women of the Department of Transportation. They'll be out there again. Tomorrow looks to be another round of bad weather, so we'll be making decisions here as to whether or not we're actually going to convene as a council. We'll be making that decision a little bit later on today once we've had a chance to meet with council staff and other council members. But did just want to again thank them for their great and tireless work. You know, these men and women work extremely hard. They'll be doing the same thing again tomorrow, but I caution everybody about being on the roads. If you don't have to be out there, please don't. It's extremely important.
Can I turn the clock back just a bit to the day the minimum wage bill passed?
Sure.
And could you shed a little more light on your decision-making about your vote? You were very adamant going into that, you know, that you know, the county should defer to the state, at least wait until we see what the state did.
Mhm.
You didn't have the votes for that. But how did you get from that to endorsing 1150 over 4 years? Could you just explain a little bit more about, because I think you were expected to be part of a coalition that Roger Berliner put together. I think it was 1075
Right.
3 years. Could you talk a little bit about what your thinking was?
Sure. Well, I had sent over a memo to the county executive and was very detailed in that memo in terms of stressing my support for going in the direction of a statewide bill. I thought that was the best direction for us to move forward. But I also said that I would not vote against a minimum wage bill and did not have a particular number. Myself and my staff, along with legal staff here, had drafted an amendment of my own promoting a different number. But at the end of the day, the number was not the challenge. The methodology in which we approached it was my true concern. And once it was clear that the other council members weren't as concerned with that, the number really wasn't a challenge. And you heard me kind of say that on the dais. The ultimate goal is for us to keep some parity between us and surrounding jurisdictions. And so now the work remains that we go to the state and we lobby there to make sure that there's a fair and equitable wage that doesn't leave Montgomery County, Prince George's out of the mix and put us tremendously higher. So my hope is that the state will be somewhere close to where Montgomery County and Prince George's have ended up, understanding that we've put ourselves out there. You know, we put ourselves out there as leading the way, and I hope that the state will follow suit. So that really was my thinking. It was really just about that primary goal of waiting for the state and working in collaboration with them. Since we decided not to go that way, that's fine. And now, you know, we'll have some more work to do when it comes to promoting this in Annapolis over the next few months.
Going back to that day also, George Leventhal during the meeting made a comment. He said, I don't know how many times Craig Rice has changed his position, and you were vocally upset when he made that comment. Now he's your vice president. What kind of working relationship do you guys have?
Well, George and I, you know, we've had our moments over the years. There are plenty of times, but this is about, you know, because we're passionate. We're passionate. We really believe our positions. We really think that the position that we have represents the right one, and so it's a challenge oftentimes when you have a person that's espousing a different position. I understand that. But the key is that we respect each other at the end of the day, and we know that we're out here trying to fight for our community, to fight to make Montgomery County a better place to live. And that at the end of the day is what matters most. So any of the back and forth that we have, you know, that's a part of what we do here. You know, we deal with challenges and deal with difficult times, but at the same time, you know, we come out of this and we understand that we are one team. We are one council. And at the end of the day, we have to work together because that's the only way we can really get things done.
Anyone else?
All right, folks. Well, thank you very much. Again, I really appreciate this. This will be a regular, ongoing press conference. I feel that it's really important for us to continue. As I said, we are all partners, so in working together with the media as well, and getting this message out to the community and making sure that they understand how important they are and the role that they play when it comes to making sure that we put our best foot forward. So I look forward to seeing you at the next press conference. Thanks so much.